morning and welcome to today's episode of Imperfect Image with Ashley and Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan!
Yay!
That was the studio audience.
Yes, studio audience of one.
Oh, maybe we'll have a laugh track on this one.
Yeah, we should do that. That would be nice. Help me feel less sad. Like someone's laughing at our jokes. Oh, yay! Alright, well, we're gonna start off today with a little Italy recap of Jordan's vacation that he's been back from for a couple of weeks now. We wanted to make sure you all heard how awesome it was, and we felt a little bit of jealousy.
I remember when I first thought, hey, let's start a podcast. It was an article saying, these are the important things to have. You want to have good audio quality, and people like some consistency. So I like that our consistency has been so good that it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded.
That type of consistency. Yes, we're all over the place, but hey, we're trying. Anyway, well, part of the reason why we were delayed was because you were in Italy. So why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, so we're playing the blame game now.
Yeah.
Normally we play a game on here. I didn't know we were playing the blame game today.
It's the blame game. If I could deflect it your way, I'm taking it.
I think if we're playing the blame game, I think our consistency is because your work requires you to be at work every second of every day and then be on call on the weekends.
Well, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, work has gotten to that point.
That's great. So what we're saying is, once again, please get us listeners, because I would prefer to do this for a living than I would go to the gym every day.
Okay.
And you can't say that about oil and gas because it is your life.
Yes. Not really, but you know what? If you can make this pay me more than my oil and gas job, then we'll talk. But
what if you could take a 5% pay cut and you could do this instead of oil and gas?
Yeah, that's a no-brainer for me.
Okay, what about a 10% pay cut?
Yeah, probably 10%.
Now I'm thinking, if I took a 10% pay cut, I can maybe swing it. The problem would be I wouldn't get benefits in that anymore.
Well, there is that. I'm not saying I would like that, but I'm sure I can make it work. It would depend, in order to make this pay for a living, how much would you actually be working on it? If I'm working the same amount of hours, I might just stick with the job I have.
Oh, I don't know if I would. Maybe I would.
It depends.
It would be harder to afford things like Italy. Oh, full circle. Yay!
And we're back to where we were supposed to be.
So, my wife and I went to Italy, Ashley.
That's so nice. Such a romantic vacation spot for a wife and her husband.
Yes, it is. Especially within the first year of your marriage.
That's making memories right there, folks.
Everyone kept asking us if it was our honeymoon. And I kind of went, sort of?
You're like,
what do you
well,
mean,
we had a honeymoon.
Like, well, we went to the Okanagan, which in Italy they do know what the Okanagan is, so that's nice.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Like, I hear that's pretty up and coming, and I kind of wanted to say, yeah, like you guys have been making wine here for thousands of years, and we've been making it there for probably a good 50. That's very exciting.
Exactly. I guess that makes us truly up and coming. We can't argue with that.
And new kids on the block. I'm going to be Jordan. Who are you going to be?
I don't know any of the other new kids. Uh-oh. Can you name them?
No, there was a guy named Jordan. That's all I remember.
That's all I know, too.
That's it. And Justin Timberlake was not in there.
That is true. What band was he in?
He was NSYNC.
There you go. Good.
As well as the Justin Timberlake Explosion Project.
I don't know what that means. It sounds sexual.
Ask Cameron Diaz, she knows.
She knows? I think he's with Jessica Biel now.
Well, it doesn't sound like that means that she has to erase all of her memories of him jizzing all up in that.
Fair enough. She's allowed to keep her memories. Okay, do you actually have anything to tell us about Italy?
Well, how about we do it in that you ask me some particular questions, because
when I want to do an interview style.
When I went to work the next day, and people go,
so tell me about your trip.
Welcome back. How was Italy? Every single time I went, it was terrible. And a few of them went, what? And then a few of them went, "Oh, Jordan." But
Yeah,
for the most
the
part,
ones who knew you went, "Oh, Jordan."
what I was trying to get across was, can you please think a little harder through your day so that you don't just say something like, "How was the trip?" Because you know what? Unless my luggage got stolen, or I got really sick, or someone fucking murdered my wife, I was in Italy, and it was a lot better than being in Calgary.
And I've seen Lauren since he got back. She's safe.
She's safe.
Do not worry.
Luggage came back. Great.
Well, let's start this interview.
Okay.
Welcome, Jordan, to
Hi.
the Imperfect Image podcast.
Yay!
Yay! So I have a few questions for you.
I would love to hear. Let's start with question number 1.
Tell me the places in which you traveled in Italy.
Oh, good call. So, if we were going with all of the cities that we visited, we spent some time in the Frankfurt airport, and then we flew into Venice, and then we trained down to Florence, and then we trained down to Rome, and then we trained all the way back up to Venice, back through Frankfurt, and into sunny Calgary. We left snowy Calgary and came back to sunny Calgary.
That's always the best.
Which was a very nice transition. I enjoyed that a lot.
How hot was it in Italy this time of year?
Well, remember this was weeks ago, so this time of year I don't know. But weeks ago, it was actually quite warm. I think we hit 28, 29 a couple of days.
Oh, that's perfect.
Which was nice.
Well, I know Lauren was worried because you were going kind of at the early start of the season that it might be a bit cold. So
Yeah,
that's
we
good.
were thinking mid-teens, and we got high 20s, low 30s, so you can't really complain about that. It rained a few days later on, but again,
That's just typical,
That's
yeah.
not going to ruin my trip to Italy.
And what was your favorite tour that you went on in Italy?
My favorite tour was the wine tour. We did a Tuscan wine tour, which is expensive, but I think if you're going and you care at all about wine, that's the way to go. Because you get to Italy, and you think about going to a liquor store here, and you kind of get overwhelmed by, oh my god, what am I going to get?
Yeah.
Go to Italy. First of all, you can't read the bottles,
Yeah.
but they also don't really have a description much on them. It's basically like, here's I'm forgetting my names.
Oh my
a Chianti.
gosh.
Okay, here's a Chianti Classico. And go. There's no, here it's
It pairs nicely with
fruity
your
and-
hot dog.
Oh my god. This $3 wine that you just bought pairs nicely with your craft dinner.
And you
So-
said you had a fairly, you had an English-speaking guide of sorts, like his English was really good.
She,
was a
Ashley,
she?
women can do these things
I didn't know
too.
women did things. Okay, my apologies.
She didn't make us a sandwich once on the tour.
Oh,
Nothing
man.
of that sort. She filled the role exactly like a man could, but probably got paid less.
Yeah, well, she definitely got paid less. That we know for sure.
It's just how the world works. She was great. Yeah, apparently she spent some time in New Zealand, so her English was pretty much as good as mine. Knowledgeable, but what I liked best about her was she was very opinionated.
Okay.
So one of the moron Americans.
Oh, I was just going to ask, that was my next question of who else you had to share the tour
Yep,
with.
a bunch of Americans. Nice people, and I don't find that Americans are generally meaningfully rude anyways.
They don't know they're being rude.
No, there does seem to be an overlying theme of just arrogance. Like they only know the American way and just don't understand the rest of the world. So the one guy said something about, the guide asked, basically, what types of wines do you normally drink? So Lauren enjoys like a really strong red, so you'd say a bold red. And I'm good with that, but I'm good with most things. I don't generally like my reds to be overly dry, but I'll go for it.
Jordan's basic answer was, if it's wine, it goes in my mouth.
Yeah. The one guy said something funny. He was like, I like the wine that's wine. I like it when it's in a bottle like when it's in a can. Sometimes I like those ones from boxes. It was pretty funny. And I said something about, basically, I like that guy's answer, and I think we should party together.
That's awesome.
But she had said that, and the one American gentleman said something about, I find I really enjoy the Super Tuscans. And the guy just immediately went, I have to tell you this. There's no such thing as a Super Tuscan. That's a thing made up by Americans to describe sort of the finer wines from Tuscany.
That's funny.
Here, it's wine. You either have a Chianti Classico, or you have a Cabernet Sauvignon, or you have a Merlot, or whatever. It's not a Super Tuscan. It's just a good Tuscan wine. Anyway,
funny.
he couldn't seem to understand. Oh, that car's going to drive off the road. Oh, no, they got it together. Okay, we're good.
We're back in the car in case anyone hasn't figured that out.
Yeah, if you couldn't get the wind traveling past the microphone and such.
Yeah, I think you can definitely tell audio-wise that we're in a moving vehicle. We're currently cruising home from our post-Slayer concert event. So yes, it's a good place for us to record. We really find our creative energy in this vehicle.
Where there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, we have nothing else to do. If we weren't doing this, we'd actually have to talk to each other. So this makes life a little bit easier.
It's easier to talk to all of our 5 fans.
Yeah, exactly. And my last question for you is, you'd been to Italy before, Lauren hadn't. What did you get out of this trip that you hadn't in your previous? And what, second part, there's a 2-parter here. And what did Lauren find the most awe in that you noticed?
So, what I enjoyed about this trip to Italy was I didn't have to make it up and have an imaginary vacation, because I've never been to Italy before.
Oh, I failed so hard. You know why? So Jordan has been to Europe many times, and on those trips he's done many a country. So it's natural for me to assume you had crossed into Italy at some point.
Yes, I've now been to Europe 3 times.
But those last 2 times were both multiple country vacations.
Multiple countries last time.
And I knew the time with Lauren that you hadn't gone to Italy, because I knew it was new for her. But for some reason, I thought on your first vacation you had gone through there at least.
No, and the secret is I've never even made up an Italy trip before.
Oh, perfect.
So
okay, well, I just made one up for you.
This was really my first experience with Italy.
This isn't just some elaborate lie that I just broke into and we've uncovered? Okay.
No.
All right, so I guess...
So on my first trip to Italy, being just a few weeks ago, I lost the question. What was the question?
I guess, what were you most in awe of? What really caught you, and what did you notice that Lauren was most in awe of?
I'm always, anytime, Europe or even certain other parts of Canada and the U.S., like, you've been to Quebec City?
I have, yeah.
Like old Quebec City in the Citadel, that sort of thing?
Long time ago, but yeah.
Now, that's old as far as Canada goes, right? Travelers coming down the St. Lawrence, and those would have been the first places they settled, but that's a few hundred years ago. Whereas you're looking in churches and some of the ruins by the Colosseum and that are before Christ.
Yeah.
So, before our current calendar, because this isn't a religious podcast, is it?
No.
Okay, I won't say too much about Christ then.
We are not tagged on any Christian or religion podcast themes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'll just say that it was many moons ago that these things were built. And to the point that they're even, as they build rail lines in Rome, they're digging up ruins as they do that. It's crazy to me that the city is so old, or the settlement is so old, that they then ended up building over top of that, and then built over top of that, and then they built over top of that, and now we see Rome, but it just, those things baffle me, right?
Yeah.
You see something that's not even, 1472.
Yeah.
It's, 300 BC or more. It's so hard to wrap your head around.
And I agree. I did my France trip about a year ago now, actually. And I mean, I'd been to Europe before and I'd been to France before, but this trip was entirely France, and I had the exact same feeling. You know, Canada is beautiful and Canada is wonderful, but we don't have anything in the way of history that compares. So, you know, when you go to Europe, that's what you're really there to do, in my mind, is kind of soak up all the history, because we never, ever sit in the presence of anything that old in our country.
So what actually was the most awe-inspiring for me was driving out of Florence on the wine tour and getting out into the actual Tuscan hills.
And did it look just how you pictured?
Yeah. 100%. That was my reason for always wanting to go to Italy.
Right.
It was kind of like, if I ever got to go to Italy, I wanted to go to Tuscany. So we did 2 days in Venice, 6 days in Florence, 2 days in Rome, and back to Venice to fly out. And the reason for spending that much time in Florence was I wanted that Tuscan experience. And Florence is sort of the heart of Tuscany.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful little town, too, or city.
Yes.
I feel like it feels like a town. It has this quiet vibe, but I like it. I think that's a good home base.
I was saying, so in my travels, Florence felt a lot like a place like Bruges.
Right. Which you really like. You thought Belgium was awesome.
Because it's small, there's these tiny little kind of side streets, there's no cars, you get a very old European, sort of medieval feeling to it.
Right.
I really like that. All people, no cars, you know, you can just sit down for a coffee, nothing's in a rush, it's great.
Drink a beer on the street.
We were waiting for dinner one night. We were a little early, and instead of wandering around in the rain, we actually just sat on the step of a church, and I grabbed a beer, and Lauren grabbed a little bottle of wine, and there you go. Yeah,
that's always fun. And speaking of that, you had one really, really memorable meal, I think, if I remember correctly. You sent me the TripAdvisor link, and it seemed like it was a top-rated restaurant in the area.
It was 1 or 2 rated in Florence on TripAdvisor, and it just happened to be maybe a 10-minute walk from our hotel.
I love
from
that.
Our bed and breakfast. So we booked a reservation the one night, and it's probably, I'm going to say, top 2 or 3 meals in my life. It was just, and I mean, someone had said this about wine in Italy, was you go and you have a glass of wine sitting in a little piazza or like a square, or you're out in Tuscany and you're sitting on a balcony or whatever. It nearly doesn't matter what wine you have. It's going to be pretty close to the best wine you've ever had.
Right.
Just because of who you're with and the setting and that kind of thing.
Right.
Our tastes are very linked to
like
the ambiance, the emotion. So.
I could see that.
So that was something I kept in mind. We only had 2 bad meals. They ended up being on the same day in Venice. But I don't think Venice is really known for its food or anything. So,
but what made them bad?
They were just bad. The one was, I said it was like a Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Oh, no.
And then the other one, we got some lasagna, but it was very rushed. Like, we were right by the Grand Canal, and you could tell they were just trying to get people in and out really quickly so they could just turn over.
Right.
So, I didn't love those so much.
Like a little bit of a tourist trap type restaurant that sucked you in.
Yeah.
And
also,
then it wasn't actually good.
You know, last day of the trip, you're kind of going, oh, that's too bad. On another day, we might have sat down and just really enjoyed ourselves. I'm not sure. Could have been, might not have been.
Oh, so this was your coming back to Venice day.
To Venice, yeah.
Fair enough, yeah. Final question.
There was one thing, Tuscany. Oh, we spent so much time in Florence because we wanted to be in Tuscany. So the only thing I would change next time is I don't think I would do so much the rest of Italy. Like, maybe fly into Venice, see Venice quickly again.
Yeah.
Maybe even stay in Florence for a night or 2. Just to, go out for a nice meal, do some shopping, something like that. But mostly, I would prefer to rent a little villa B&B thing out in Tuscany and just hang out, do some drives, do some wine tours. I think that would be much more relaxing and probably more Italian for me than sitting in Rome. And oh my God, Rome was insane.
So it's funny that you say that, because I'm having a flashback to my mom's last European trip without me, and I remember her raving about this place, and it was called the Villa Campestri Olive Oil Resort, I believe. Yep. And I know that she loved it, even if that wasn't the same place. So, you know, she just kind of raved about that experience. I think I'd like to try something like that sometime.
Yeah, I want to be able to. I think I want a slower pace on most of my vacations now. I don't need to, city to city to city. This one was nice. 3 cities. We actually enjoyed our time on the train. It was kind of everything's very close together.
Right.
So it's a 2-hour train ride max. You watch a show on your phone. You look at the countryside. You pack back up, and you're at the next city.
Yeah.
But if it could be more of, all right, I'm going to Scotland, and I'm seeing Glasgow and one other place that I can get to very quickly, awesome. This would be, I'm going to Italy, I'm hitting Florence for a night, I'm maybe going out to Pisa or something like that, and then I'm just gonna sit by the pool at a little villa and enjoy my time. I like that. I don't need rush.
And I've gotten to that point myself. I mean, different people travel in different ways, and I've traveled with people that are get up in the morning, go till the end of the night, and that's just not me. It exhausts me. I like my vacation to be a good mix of relaxation and sightseeing. So, I was just in the Philippines, and prior to that I mentioned my France trip. Both of those, I think we purposely tried to slow down the trip, because both France and the Philippines had so many things we could have done that we didn't get to, and we kept trying to say, does this go into the trip, does it not? And I know we kept fighting to keep space in there so that it didn't feel overrushed and go, and they were both perfect in that regard.
That's one thing I actually really like about going to a place like Phoenix for me, is wake up in the morning, you go play golf, you come back, maybe you do something else that day, but you could also just chill out, play some games, go for dinner, make dinner, something like that. Yeah, I just want to get away sometimes. I don't need to see everything possible in the trip. Yeah, I agree. So, thank you for that recap. That's what I like about camping.
Oh, there you go.
I realized this lately is you go camping. For us, we set up the tent, and then you can just sit there and go, I have nothing to do, right? And like at home, if I have nothing to do, I find things to do.
Yeah, or you always have a to-do list at home, so nothing to do is never there, because you could be doing dishes or cleaning or cooking or laundry.
I'll sit for a while and I'll watch soccer or something like that, or I'll pop on a movie, and then right away I feel this rush that I need to get to something.
Yeah.
I feel guilty that I'm sitting there. Camping, I just sit in a chair and play cards with people for hours.
Yeah, or, you have a nap if you want, you rest. There's just no agenda to it at all. I agree. I always feel very relaxed after a camping trip.
Yeah, that gets me. A week of camping where you can forget what day it is. You can kind of go, oh, maybe we want to go to the lake. Well, no, maybe we'll do that tomorrow. That's perfect. Yeah. That does it for me.
So, now that we've talked about your previous trip, what's next on your vacation, friend?
I don't know. How's that for an answer?
Well, you had said bring it up, so I felt like there might have been something on the docket here.
Does I don't know make for an exciting podcast?
It does when I see the look on your face, like you've got some big surprise to launch.
No, I don't have a big surprise.
Lauren and I are moving or something.
That's not even funny.
Yeah, I know, but you look like you've got news.
No, it's we would like to go and do something for our anniversary.
June 10th?
June 10th, yes, thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for the reminder.
You're welcome.
But
I'm doing something for your anniversary.
Okay.
I'll be in Toronto.
Oh, glad to hear it.
Not for you, though. It's for me and me alone.
Is this a surprise trip for me?
No, you will not be on the vacation. I'm sorry.
We would like to go somewhere, maybe out to Invermere or something like that, where it all began. I don't know. It's maybe just a little too pricey after we spent all of our money in Italy.
Yeah.
And then there's supposed to be a trip at Christmas, but that's kind of gotten fudged up where some people want to go to Hawaii, and we're looking at it and thinking, well, that's more than out of our budget.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a few other people agree with us, so the family trip might get split up. We might actually go rent a house in Kalispell.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And maybe do some skiing and some, like I said, sitting around and relaxing.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. I don't know if that's going to happen because...
And when you say the family, you're talking about the Lawrence side of the family.
Yes.
Just for the audience, since not everyone would know.
So we'll see how that goes. Christmas is up in the air. Probably should get things planned out fairly soon, but not too worried about it.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. The summer, I think I'd like to get out camping a few times. Maybe a little bit less this year because I'm trying to golf as much as possible.
Yeah.
So trips are just kind of up in the air for me.
Yeah. I don't mind being at home in Calgary for most of the summer. I mean, we actually have our good weather. Like you said, you have your golf membership. There's lots to do in the city. I personally don't travel that much in the summer because I think we've got a lot to enjoy here.
Well, and
locally.
even if I was gonna take a big trip in the summer, like if we were gonna take a 2-week road trip and travel all the way across the country or most of the way across the country, I probably wouldn't pay my membership at the course that year.
Right.
It just wouldn't really make any sense. You're spending, at this point, more than $1,000, and then maybe using half of it. We don't have that long of a summer. It's kind of got to be one or the other.
That's true. You have to focus your energy.
We'll kind of see. I'd like to get a camping trip booked up in the next few weeks.
Not to go in the next few weeks, but to actually book it in the
I might
next
go
few
in the
weeks.
next few weeks. I feel like this week looks amazing.
Right.
Like 27, 28 degrees or something like that.
Yeah.
I could go next weekend. It's a little bit more fun to go with people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be tough for me this summer to get away because I am going to be on call so much.
Yeah.
My staff is down to half staff. I said it like I was the boss. I'm not. They're not my staff. They're Husky staff. Again, just saying weird things and being awkward.
My pawns are down to half pawns. How can you service your queen when...
So, I mean, right now, I'm doing extra on-calls than normal, and between that, I'm finding that when I'm not on call, because I've been on call, the things I have to do or that I've wanted to work around, they fit into those weekends. So, yeah, I feel like my entire June is just written off already, and then it's just funny that way, but...
We'll book something.
Yeah.
We gotta book something and then just happening.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely have to get out this summer for sure. So, yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, as I mentioned, I will be in Toronto the weekend of your vacation. No, your anniversary.
This just turned into a really sad adult podcast.
Yeah.
Like, it's normally a fun, oh my god, what kind of beer are you drinking, dude? Broski, let's get high. Woo! And now it's like, oh, my staff is down to half, and I'm finding it very difficult to keep up with my adult responsibilities. I'd love to travel more, but budgets.
Oh, yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, it's taken a dark turn here.
Oh, my heartburn's really acting up today. God, my arthritis.
Yeah, my body, the aches and pains within it. I don't know what to
all
do.
I gotta look forward to now is hemorrhoids.
Yeah, exactly, right. Good point. So, yeah, I guess I'll just wrap it up by saying, like I said, for your anniversary weekend, I will be in the Toronto area. We're going mainly to visit with some of Brad's family, just because he's just moved out here. He wanted to...
Meet the parents.
Well, yes, but he also wanted to get out there fairly quickly, just to prove that he wasn't going to move out here and disappear forever.
Yeah, that's got to be tough. I don't like that idea of being across the country from family. And it's one thing to be across the country from family and you don't get to see them, but also being across the country from family and realizing that you have to pay thousands of dollars to travel across the country to see them.
Right,
So it's not even just you're a long ways away.
Yeah.
You're like an entire paycheck away.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it'll be good. We're going to catch a Jays game, and we've got, a few little things planned with his family, and so just a bit of an extended long weekend that we've made. So we've got that to do, and then, I think I'm pretty much not traveling for the whole summer aside from little weekend trips. But I think right now, because I don't really have days off, and because, you don't want to spend a fortune, kind of weekend road trips are what we're going to maybe look at. I find those are fun, actually. What I've really enjoyed since Brad got here is it's almost reminding me how much we have locally to enjoy. And I mean in Alberta, or even to go to Montana, BC. We live in an amazing part of the country where there's so many different things right within reach.
I was saying in Italy, you take a 2-hour train ride and you're in a completely different city. In Alberta, you drive, maybe it takes a little longer, like even just to drive up to Edmonton is 3 hours, but you can drive out to the mountains in an hour and a bit, or you go the other way. You have to commit to a little bit longer of a distance, a little bit longer of a time frame.
Yeah.
But you can get to some really cool stuff within, say, 5 hours.
Absolutely.
So if you want to take an extended long weekend, you can go somewhere very different.
Well, and the beautiful thing about the summer with the long daylight hours is realistically we could both get off work on a Friday, head out somewhere, be checked in Friday night, and you could come home late Sunday, and you don't even have to take any time off.
Yeah.
And that's going to be what I'm limited to fairly quickly here, just with the little amount of days I have left.
Because I'm trying to build up clientele on Wednesdays now, so that I can head off early on Fridays.
Right.
And you pretty much feel like you have a long weekend every weekend.
Yeah.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I can see that for sure. That definitely helps. You got to take the little bit of time when you can get it, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
So, it's amazing how just taking a regular weekend and making it special, we had went up to Jasper, or, just, you don't have to go that far. Like you said, the mountains are only an hour and a bit away, and to do that just kind of helps get you through when you're not, planning on traveling far for a while. So.
No. I was just thinking, and this came out in my head a while ago, was we should plan a trip out to Phoenix.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Whether it's a specific golf trip or just go to the desert in the winter trip, even if it's not this coming winter, if it was the one after that, or like late this coming winter, March or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Phoenix is always a good getaway place.
I enjoy it. You rent a house, and
houses are so easy to rent down there. You can have that experience, and
I can go and jet off golfing in the morning, and everyone else can do whatever they want. It's just you go to some places and you go there specifically for this.
Yeah.
Right? If I was going to, Ireland, I'm going to Ireland for Guinness.
Right.
I don't know what everyone else is going there for, but I'm going for Guinness. If you go to the Maritimes, you're going to the Maritimes to, ocean views and that kind of stuff. But it seems like there's something to do there. There's a draw to go there.
Yeah.
What I love about Phoenix is you go there and you kind of go, okay, what kind of trip do we want to make this?
Yeah.
Do we want to do a sightseeing trip where you go out to the Hoover Dam or whatever it might be? That's the wrong Grand Canyon is what I meant, sorry.
That's what I'm here for.
But we'll take Vegas then. You go to Vegas and you say, do we want to do a food style trip? Do we want to do a theater trip? Do we want to do a Grand Canyon trip? Do we want to do a Hoover Dam trip?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of different things to do. Those are kind of nice too. You have a little more choice.
Absolutely. I agree with that completely.
It can appeal to more people.
Yeah.
It can appeal to a whole group rather than just, let's go to Hawaii, we'll go surfing.
Yeah, I agree. And, I mean, I think no matter what, if you're going to travel with people, I think that's the right way to do it. So, you just kind of got to stay open, go somewhere where you have different options, and then that way, hopefully, you can all enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be too prescriptive when you're traveling with a group to say this is what we're going to do every day.
Yeah.
The larger that group gets, the harder that is. I mean, just given that not everybody likes to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So. All right. Well, thanks for listening in, and we hope you enjoyed this episode, this travel-focused episode. No games today, just all business.
Road trip!
See, being on the road inspires us to talk about travel.
We gotta stop for gas and get drunk! Wait, no. Not get drunk because we're driving.
We didn't have an alcohol sponsorship on this.
Oh, this podcast brought to you by Starbucks. Wah, wah. Lame.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.